So, how's about we do something a little different this week? Anyone call for 5 shows in one? Yeah, this past month we got quite a bit of shows streaming at the same time. So much so, it may be hard to juggle. Are all of them worth watching? Are none of them worth watching? Well, that's where I come in to tell you what to watch, what to maybe stray away from based on my first impressions of their first few episodes. So, what are our contestants? In this corner, hailing from the realm of Asgard, the two-horned god of mischief himself, Loki! And in this corner, armed and dangerous with a knack for destruction, it's Star Wars The Bad Batch. In this corner, broadcasting live from her apartment in New York, leave it all to her, it's iCarly. Over in this corner, returning from the depths of the nostalgic mind, the toddlers with a can-do attitude, Rugrats! And lastly, coming from the city of Monstropolis, it's laughter thereafter, monsters at work! 5 shows, 5 ratings. Let's run them down! Loki is the third MCU show to stream on Disney+, this time focusing on a character who is technically, canonically dead, Loki. Except instead of following the, already dead guy we knew for 5 movies, we're following the Loki from Endgame who alters the flow of time by evading capture during the time of the first Avengers movie. But no crime goes unpunished, as Loki is arrested by the TVA, self-proclaimed time cops who determined that Loki did something he wasn't supposed to do in the grand scheme of the intended future. However, TVA agent Mobius believes he could use Loki to their advantage in tracking down an even more heinous criminal that is leaping through time. So the show involves Loki hopping from time period to time period, trying to piece together the secrets of the TVA, this time criminal, and of course, finding some way to come out on top of all of them. Like WandaVision, this show excels in providing a very different aesthetic, feel, and storytelling strategy to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This show is positively gorgeous. Whenever you're in the TVA's HQ, it feels like you're watching some Wes Anderson-inspired utopia where shot composition and set design rules over all else. The story is also very interesting and gripping, knowing just where to start off and end each episode to keep you wanting more and asking questions. That's what these Marvel shows are great at, gripping you with a mystery and having you wait a week while you try to speculate where the show is even going. Then the next episode comes along and throws another curveball into the mix, causing the viewer to reevaluate everything they thought they knew. But what Marvel succeeds at even more right now is character development. While the movies wow you with action set pieces and spectacle, since the shows have a lot more time dedicated to making the characters grow, the best part of Loki is when everything slows down. There are a lot of intimate moments in this show so far where characters sit down and talk. Whether it's about beliefs, the concepts of good and evil, the role of the powerful in a world of the weak, or just a no-holds-barred battle of the minds. Each of these moments allow us to peer into each character's psyche, and not once does anything feel boring or want you to wish to get to the next action scene. Hell, sometimes I wish there wasn't action scenes, just these characters talking, a strong testament to Marvel's ability to write characters. Loki's amazing so far, and if it can keep up this streak, it'll get a
smoking sexy style
in no time. Moving on from time to space, let's take a look at the new animated Star Wars show, The Bad Batch. Taking place directly after the Clone Wars left off, we follow a ragtag team of clone troopers who find themselves unaffected by the infamous Order 66, which brainwashed all the other clones to kill the Jedi. Now trying to adjust in a cruel and dangerous galaxy, these Mandalorians must put their lives on the line to survive, as well as protect a mysterious child from the forces that are hunting her down. Now, where have I heard that before? Yeah, so conceptually, this isn't the most original Star Wars show out there, but of course in execution, the shows couldn't be any more different. Of course there will be some bias on my part, since clone troopers are my favorite characters in Star Wars. But seeing a show all about the clones no doubt gets brownie points from me. The fact that one actor has to play all of these characters, make each sound distinct, and play off one another naturally, it's awesome. Because all of these characters are likable, even the child character of Omega, which makes each episode fun and suspenseful as we explore more of the galaxy and witness what life is like for those living in a galaxy transitioning from the Republic to the Empire. However, Clone Wars fans might find themselves struggling to accept the new formula of purely episodic storytelling compared to the arc-based anthology they're used to. And while Bad Batch is nowhere near as thought-provoking and reaches the same highs as Clone Wars' best, its episodes are nowhere near Clone Wars' worst. A perfectly enjoyable middle ground, sure to scratch the itch of any Clone Wars fans looking to delve back into the world of the prequels, and certainly worthy so far of a
savage!
Now let's get a little more down to earth with iCarly. While considered a reboot, this show takes place almost 10 years after the original Nickelodeon sitcom ended in 2012. Carly has returned home to New York after staying with her dad and is ready to get back into streaming her popular web show once again. Assisted by her now rich brother Spencer, Freddie, his stepdaughter Millicent, and her new best friend Harper, Carly tries to navigate through adulthood in a show that feels different, yet also still familiar at the same time. The usual reboot approach is bring something back for a new generation to enjoy, but something for nostalgic fans to also look back on with fondness. iCarly doesn't abide by that angle. This new show is pretty much only for people who grew up with the original. This show tackles more mature subject matter relevant to that kind of audience, and it goes all in on that approach. The sets are more subdued, the references are things children won't get, and the characters now swear from time to time. But despite all this though, it still retains the same comedic timing, interactions, and structure of the original iCarly, ensuring that the show maintains its identity and reminds you that after all this, it's still iCarly, just grown up, like us. And the jokes are hysterical, with special shout out to Jerry Trainer as Spencer, who as always, steals the show whenever he is on screen. Of course it's sad that Sam is not in this show for personal reasons involving her actress, but Harper is still a good character, who brings a new dynamic to the table as Carly's friend with her own flair, while Millicent still brings that cynical edge Sam used to cover. Overall, iCarly's a worthy revival that brings back old memories while never ceasing to be new. So, it too gets a
Savage!
Next on the slate is Rugrats, returning to the small screen as a CG animated reboot that takes a more traditional approach to the idea of a revival. It is a reset made for both old and new fans, with the original cast for the babies returning. It just now takes place in modern day. A decent idea, with a less than decent execution. The animation, yeah, it's ugly. I appreciate how they try to stay true to the original show's design, but they just didn't transition well with these low quality textures and uncanny movements. Sometimes it can look alright, some other times it can be quite hard to look at. And I don't know if I just got too old for it or just the writing ain't up to snuff with this new show, but everything here is just kind of boring. While the actors give it their all and are very charming, it can't save what I think is really off-pacing and unfunny dialogue. Even when you go to the adults, nothing here really makes me laugh. Best I got out of it is a decent chuckle. And if a Nicktoon isn't funny, it can't really exceed anywhere else. At best, it's something to play in the background just for the cute moments of the babies interacting with one another and mispronouncing things. It'll keep the kids entertained for sure. But if you're a nostalgic adult looking to relive the glory days, well, have you considered an iCarly reboot?
Crazy!
Last up, and the newest show to join the fray, is Monsters at Work, the television sequel that takes place merely one day after the original film, Monsters Incorporated. Monsters University graduate Tyler Tuskman must work his temporary job in the Monsters Inc. facilities team while learning how to be funny rather than scary if he is to live his dream career. Monsters Inc. and its prequel, Monsters University, are Pixar movies that have captured the hearts and imaginations of countless moviegoers of all ages, and people have been eager for a proper continuation with Mike and Sully, preferably with Boo. What we got, however, is not that, but that doesn't mean it isn't bad. In fact, it's still really good. The monster world and how the company of Monsters Inc. operates is ripe with intriguing ideas, concepts, and parallels to our society that is just waiting to be expanded. And Monsters at Work does just that, documenting all of the difficulties behind the scenes of this corporation undergoing a major change, and it's just as funny as you think. The members of MIFT have quirky and distinct personalities you'll come to enjoy so far, giving out different kinds of humor to entertain audiences. From the kind who prefers more cynical and crass wordplay, or the random or lighthearted, you're sure to find someone who can consistently entertain you. Of course, this can mean there's a character whose humor just won't click with you, which could lead to potential moments that can fall flat due to it trying to be a jack of all trades. But saving the day are the two that started it all, Mike and Sully, who haven't lost a lick of charm every time you see them back on screen. And Billy Crystal and John Goodman still got it. Also, the animation's pretty damn solid. While of course it will never be film quality, it still looks good enough that it fits in the same universe, with the character models having infinitely more detail than the Rugrats reboot. A solid start to a solid series that is only gonna get better in time. So, Monsters at Work gets a
Apocalyptic!
And there we go. 5 shows, 5 ratings. 4 good, 1 bad. A pretty good lineup all things considered, and if you want to know my thoughts as these shows end, why not consider subscribing? I'm sure to get out reviews of at least Loki and The Bad Batch in time. Why not see if they hold up once they end? Alright, we're back. So, how do we watch these shows? Loki, The Bad Batch, and Monsters at Work are streaming exclusively on Disney+. Heads up though, you might want to do your research first before you dive into these two. I suggest watching at least Thor, The Avengers, and Avengers Endgame to get the minimum you need to enjoy Loki. While with The Bad Batch, you really need to see the Clone Wars before you watch that, as Bad Batch is pretty much a sequel to it. To watch iCarly and Rugrats, both are on Paramount Plus alongside their predecessors, although the new Rugrats will also be airing episodically on Nickelodeon, although you don't particularly need to see the original Rugrats to watch the new one. Nor iCarly for that matter, but as I said, that show really is made for fans of the original. Happy watching, everyone!